Welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast, a production from Empowering Pumps and Equipment as the voice of the pump and related equipment industry.
Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 64 of the Empowering Industry Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Bethany Womack, and I'm joined by my co-host, Rebecca Mechtensheimer.
Thanks, Bethany. We are super excited to be here with you, the listener. Thank you for choosing us, and please do us a favor and leave us a rating and review that helps us show up in the podcast platforms and helps more listeners like yourself find the show.
Like every week, we're going to cover something that I saw on social media, preview the news from Empowering Pumps and Equipment newsletter, and then connect you with an industry influencer. Doing things a little different this week. Becca, fill everyone in.
So this week we are going to skip our weekly update and give you an update on Charli. So number one, shout out to everyone who has posted and commenting, sending support for Charli. I know that she really appreciates it. And as a team that is very close knit, we also appreciate it and are very thankful for you all. And
Agreed.
So Charli's surgery yesterday went very well. They were able to actually repair her valve instead of replace it. And by yesterday afternoon, she was out in the ICU recovering and everything went well. So Charli is officially on the road to recovery. So please keep her in your prayers and continue with the kind notes. I know she will continue to appreciate that, but we are very happy to give you this news.
Yes. So whenever you listen to this, Charli, because I know you will, think some healing thoughts, know that lots of people love you, and know that we miss you, and we're all thankful that you're well. And several people did even email me, and they're like, I'm sure this is a hard week. Y'all are all worried about Charli, and I just thought that was so sweet that people were letting Charli know that they cared and really taking care of our team and giving us lots of grace while we are covering the company while Charli is recovering from surgery. So anyway, Charli, get better. We love you. Into Let's Get Social. This is where I'm going to fill you in on a new trend or something you need to know going on in social media, or update you on something I saw that I wanted to talk about from social media.
First off, we want to invite you to our virtual meetups next week, which technically will be this week. For Empowering Women, it is July 14th on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Time. And then for Empowering Brands, that meetup is July 20th on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Central Time.
Yep. For the Empowering Women call, we're going to be joined by a speaker who will also be at Empowering Women, the conference. It's Daryl Stinson. He's a dynamic 2x TEDx speaker and a former D1 athlete and best-selling author. He's going to be talking to us in our group about growing your business with public speaking, which I think is really appropriate for our Empowering Women calls. And I'm really excited for him to share his knowledge with us and just to have, an entertaining force there teaching us something that we can learn and take with us. You do need to pre-register for those calls. So there's links in the show notes that you can click on that help you find it. And when you register, you're sent the Zoom link. So you can jump on that call and turn your camera on so we can say hi to everybody on the call. Shout outs. Time for shout outs. First, I forgot. So I have a very important shout out that I want to give this week, and it's to Kaylee Looney. She was one of the women who participated in our Empowering Women photo shoot a couple of weeks ago in Chicago. She's an aerospace engineer. She's the founder and CEO of Reinvent Magazine, the nation's first women in STEM magazine. And her Instagram handle, which you need to follow, is at Kaylee Looney. So Caeley, Looney, Looney. But so she posted the most beautiful post on her Instagram that really touched me. And it was one of the pictures of her from the photo shoot. And she just talked about how, she's had a lot of problems with like accepting her body and loving her body. And at the photo shoot, she just like for the first time in a long time, felt really comfortable in her own skin and empowered. And I think part of that is like all of the women that were at the event, they were just encouraging people, and all the work that Kaylee did leading up to the event to get in the right headspace to do that. But the words she shared were so empowering and made me feel just really proud of the work we were doing at our team. And so I want to give Kaylee a shout out and tell everyone to go read her post because I loved it.
Yes, and it was very empowering. So, if you guys want to shout out, then all you have to do is reach out to us on social media. Give us a shout out by tagging us at Empowering Pumps or using the show hashtag, which is hashtag Empowering Industry Podcast.
And this week for social media, we're on to part 2 of Bekah's self-care series. So last week we covered part 1, which was the mind. Now we're on to part 2, which is the body. This is based on your video series that you did last year for us that we published through our YouTube channel. So those YouTube video links are in the show notes as well. If you like this conversation and you want to learn even more from Bekah, definitely go watch those videos. And basically, why I wanted to do this, why we wanted to share this on the show is that self-care is really important to becoming the best version of yourself, and how that relates to industry and you succeeding in this industry that we're all in is that, in order to be the best version of yourself for your family, your friends, your company, your clients, yourself, you really have to prioritize self-care and taking care of your body. And we today would hope to give you a couple of practices that you can implement to help become the best version of yourself. So Bekah, I'll let you start it off and tell us, how the body pertains to self-care.
Awesome. Thank you. So for this video is, of course, body, like Bethany mentioned, but physical health. So this is a loaded topic because people put a lot of value and worth on physical appearance, but that's not really the focus for me, at least, on physical health. Physical health doesn't equal a number on the scale or your clothing size. It's how you feel, like how your body feels, that you're strong, that you're capable, that you're actually living healthy. And figuring out what your struggles are when it comes to your physical health. Yes, weight and diet do contribute to your physical health, but it's so much more than that. So, what are the things that you're struggling with? Do you not have a lot of energy throughout the day? Do you have a hard time with your mobility and, how your body's functioning?
Yeah, totally agree. I remind myself as a woman in America that skinny does not always equal healthy. And for a lot of people, it actually isn't healthy the way like some people live and they're skinny. But so upfront disclaimers. Bekah and I, neither of us work in the healthcare industry. We aren't doctors. These are just tips that have worked for us and common self-care tips that you'll see for taking care of your body. But you should see a doctor. Like that's part of self-care too, is you going in for your regular checkups, get your blood work done, find out what your cholesterol is, and be your own advocate in the medical system. No doctor knows your body better than you know your body. And I think it's giving me chills to talk about. Shout out Charli. Specifically important when you think about this and how it manifested for Charli. Like she had to push for years to find out what was going on with her heart. And she kept pushing and she was an advocate for herself. And she went in and now she got the surgery and she's taken care of and she's on the road to recovery. But that's because she was putting her self-care as a priority in her life. And, we hope that you take that on as well, listening to this. And then, just really listen to your body because it has a way of telling you what it needs. Whether it's, dark circles under your eyes, meaning you need iron, or many of the other ways, like your whatever, it has a way of telling you that something's wrong if you just sit for a moment and listen to it.
Yes.
Thank you.
So the first thing with this video is, moving your body. So one of my favorite, if not just my favorite, we'll just go with just my favorite trainer is Shaun T. If you, I don't, depending on how old you are, but like I remember my mom doing hip hop abs whenever I was a kid. And like, that was like his first like dive into the fitness industry, I guess you would say, at least on that big of a stage. And he has this quote that says, if you can lift up your body, you can lift up your life. And it resonates with me. It always has, especially as I've been on this journey with fitness for myself and, wanting to be strong. It's not about, that number on the scale. It's I want to be healthy and strong and be able to do the things that I want to do, and for, the longevity of it as well, for as long as I live. And so really it's important to move your body. It can be high impact, lifting weights, or it can be very low impact. You can go walking, doing yoga. It's just finding something that you enjoy. Everyone has different levels of, exercise that they're able to do. And, but just picking something that works for you. So whether it's going for a walk with your dog, or playing tennis, or even if it's just outside in the yard playing with your kids, or dancing, it can look any way, shape, or form that works for you, as long as you're moving your body a little bit every day. Anything that gets your heart rate up, you're going to feel good afterwards, because endorphins are real.
Yes.
And everyone feels better after they move their body a little bit.
Yes. Your second tip that you discuss in the video is to feed your body and to hydrate. So, your motto, I want to say, in life is go drink some water. But really drinking water and making sure you're drinking the appropriate amount of water can really have a huge impact. And it's really my first line of defense anytime I don't feel great. If I have a headache, if I'm tired, if my stomach hurts, whatever, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get some water in me so that I know that I'm well hydrated. And then we'll make an assessment if I need to do something else to make myself feel better. And half the time, that solves my issue. So, get yourself a big jug. They make cute ones that are like, drink more, whatever, and get your full thing in, or set an alarm on your watch, whatever you need to do to remind yourself to drink some water. That's important. And then you also want to talk about how you feed your body. So you need to fuel yourself with proper nutrition. And don't get me wrong, I love my Tex-Mex and, foods that aren't a healthy foods, just like anyone else. And I'm not saying, and Becca's not saying, like, don't eat those things. It's just to, start thinking about the things that you're putting into your body as fuel for energy, and making sure you're getting nutritious foods. And if you aren't getting them in your foods, you could look at other ways like shakes or even supplements. And I read some stat that I want to say, like, the majority of Americans are vitamin D deficient. If you have your blood work done and you see that, we don't go outside as much as we used to go outside. Right now in Texas, it's either raining or stupid hot, so I can't get outside. So, just different supplements can help you, and talk to your doctor, look at your blood work, see where you might be lacking and what you can do to kind of make up those things that you're lacking in.
And it's definitely, like Bethany said, all about balance. So have your pizza, have your wine, but also have your broccoli and your cauliflower. And, it's all a balance.
Yes.
Life needs to, you need to enjoy it. And part of that is food. But as long as you still are getting the nutrients and the things that you need, that's what's important.
Well, and I even think for me, it's like paying attention to how food makes you feel, So the pizza tasted really great, but I'm not going to feel like doing anything that evening. So just like being aware of that, or if you're at a trade show, not eating a heavy lunch because you got a lot of walking to do that you're going to need to do later. And just kind of acknowledging that as you're thinking about, what you're going to fuel yourself with is important.
Yes, very important. And so the next tip is, treat your body well and rest. So we need to love our body. And I know that that's very cliche to say, but, the negative energy that comes with, not being happy with our body, or wanting to change it, is very detrimental to our well-being. And, it's one thing to want to make improvements and want, like, have a goal in mind, but it's different to beat yourself up and shame yourself because you're not where you want to be. So really, loving where you're at right now, because the body that you have right now is what's going to get you to where you want to go. So we need to be kind to ourselves all around, but be kind to our bodies as well. And, don't push yourself too hard either. If you need to rest, then take the time to rest.
Yeah. I made a little note in our show notes to talk about this in this point, because when you are talking about, thanking the body that you're in currently, it just automatically takes me back to when Bowen was born. I actually had a near-death experience, had multiple surgeries, legitimately thought I was going to die there a couple of times, and I didn't. And when I came out of that, I had a lot of trauma associated with it. And so often I was telling myself my body had failed me. It had failed to do what it was supposed to do, and my body was bad and wasn't doing any of these things right. And then, years of therapy and all of that later, it came to the realization that, my body did exactly what it needed to do to survive in those moments, it took care of me. My body is the house for me, and my spirit and all of that. And it's why I'm here, is because of my body. And yeah, I may not love it all the time, and I may have been really scared, and I may have not been happy. But I have to thank it, because it's why I exist, And so I think about that in terms of the listeners and stuff. And so you may not be you might have have hip dysplasia now, and you can't walk around a trade show like you used to could walk around a trade show, or you can't, work in the shop you used to could work in the shop. But your body didn't fail you. Your body served you in exactly the way it needed to serve you in those moments. And now you just have a new way of finding ways to make it work for you. So, not to make this super emotional, but that made me think about that. And I appreciate you talking and reminding me on the regular to be thankful for my body and all that it's done for me. So thanks, Bekah.
Thank you for sharing that. And I hear your story, have heard it many times, and every single time, it's still,
yeah,
it still makes me a little emotional. So, I appreciate that, you did share that, and you're 100% right.
Sorry. So back on track. What else do you have for us?
So, lastly is, taking note of some of the other ways that, you can treat your body well. So, of course, being conscious of what you're putting in your body, but also what you're putting on your body. So, you're going to be out in the sun, putting sunscreen on so that you don't get burnt. Avoiding products like lotions and deodorants and body wash, whatever it may be, that, has harmful chemicals in it that aren't really good for your body and dry your skin out. And, there are a lot of other things that you do have to take into consideration, at least I think, when it comes to treating our bodies well. Making sure that you're getting 8 hours of sleep at a night. Not pushing yourself when you're too worn out. Sleep is so much more important than I think we give it credit for.
100%. Yeah.
While you sleep, your body literally repairs itself. It grows new muscle tissue. It replenishes your dopamine levels, which we need to be happy. But it's so important, and really making sure that you are getting your sleep. And yes, sometimes it's not realistic to get 8 hours of sleep a night, but at least if you're making a concerted effort to get regularly scheduled sleep,
yes,
that's the most important.
Yes. 100% agree. As a new parent who is lacking sleep on more than I would like, but he's doing better, I can attest that, sleep makes everything better. And just to kind of wrap it up for everyone here, prioritizing your body is a necessity to sustain a long and healthy life. You want to start now to develop healthy habits so you're positioned well as you age. What is that? I'm aging backwards, so I can't relate to aging. That's fine. I'm just kidding. But so that so you're ahead of the game and you have these healthy habits to serve you well the rest of your life. And we want to talk about this because I think the people are the most important part of our industry. And I think people taking care of themselves is really the most important thing in life, so that you're able to do all the other important things in life, like be with your family and be with your friends. And then, of course, go to work and help our industry and, make money to live on and all that kind of stuff. Was there anything I missed or anything else you want to talk about on part 2, the body, before we move on?
So like mentioned before, your physical health is so much more than your BMI or appearing like you're healthy. It starts from the inside out. Yes, exercise and diet are important to keep us healthy, but what's just as important is how we treat our bodies on the outside of, those two areas.
Love it. And I agree. Let us know what you think and what you're doing right now to practice self-care. You can tweet us at Empowering Pumps and use that hashtag Empowering Industry Podcast. So we can let Bekah know that we've all drank our water and are being the good little house plant caregivers that we were all meant to be. Okay, so we're going to move into the news. This is where we're going to preview some news you're going to see in the Empowering Pumps and Equipment newsletter this week that'll be coming to your inbox. And first, I want to start with the person of the week is Mr. Ahmed Mazir Bashir, a freelance lubricants consultant who also has an appearance coming up on our YouTube channel with Vince. So, Bekah, tell us what we need to know about Ahmed.
So Ahmed, he has around 39 years of enriched experience in the field of lubrication. And, reliability is what he said he loves most, and problem solving. He has a lot of wonderful experience and advice to share with you. So you want to make sure to check out his profile and connect with him on LinkedIn.
Yes. And he will be on a YouTube video with Vince, one of Vince's Lunch and Learns. It should be coming out this week, but the link will be in the show notes for that as well. And if you know of anyone who should be featured as our person of the week, nominate them. It's super simple. You just put their name, their email, and we reach out to them and get them to fill out our questionnaire so that we can highlight them in this industry and share them with all of our listeners.
And our first content piece that we're going to highlight is from Surumi. It is well dewatering done well. What to consider when planning the job. So I love that on purpose.
Pun. Yes.
Love a good pun.
And how didn't I catch that when I was typing it out? I guess I had to hear it, but I'm here for it. That's good. Continue.
So planning and choosing the right pumps are crucial for a well-executed dewatering operation. So this article outlines how to maximize efficiency and avoid unexpected costs. Some of the topics covered are what is a temporary well dewatering and some examples of what that is, aspects to consider when planning a well dewatering operation, choosing the correct pumps for each operation, and some of the main pitfalls for a well dewatering operation. It's a very thorough article that in-depth answers all of those topics and more. So the link is in the show notes, and make sure that you check it out.
Awesome. The story that I'm going to share with you today comes to us from Industrial Flow Solutions, and it's titled What You Need to Know About Explosion-Proof Pumps. So we all know that safety is a concern for a variety of industries, but certain industrial companies in specific markets like oil and gas, mining, some of them have regulations that actually require the use of explosion-proof pumps in a lot of scenarios. So this article is going to outline, where the high risk applications might be and what necessitates the use of an explosion-proof pump, as well as the 3 principles for explosion-proof pump design, which is a spark-free motor, an engineered flame path, and a pressure containment. lots of great information. And one thing I didn't know, but makes tons of sense, is that to meet these industrial requirements, a lot of places you have to have third-party approval of your pump. And so the article kind of goes into the different rating scales that are used by these approval systems, and then outlines next steps for how you acquire it, how you work with it. And this Industrial Flow Solutions is a really great company to learn all of this from, because they've had years of experience working with these types of pumps and have really put together a lot of quality information in this article that I think you could learn a lot from if you're having to spec one of those for your next job. Okay, and so we're through social media, we're through the news, and now we're going to move into our industry segment. And this is pre-recorded from Charli. She went out and found a wonderful person today who I've met and who I know and really enjoy talking with. And today, your interview is going to be with Jen Muir. She's the founder and president of JKMuir, a successful woman-owned and operated engineering and energy consulting firm specializing in water, wastewater, and industrial processes. She's highly involved in the Industry and Hydraulic Institute, is a new chair for the Connecticut section of AWWA, and the list goes on and on. She's really awesome, and I'm really excited about this interview.
I'm really looking forward to hearing the interview as well. You're going to love Jen just as much as all of us on the Empowering team do. So without further delay, here's the interview.
Well, welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast. I'm so happy. I was super excited and energized to be able to, I guess, know that I was interviewing you this morning. So I was just so happy to have you here. One of the things that we start with, and I feel like this is silly because our audience should know who you are. So Jen Muir, she has been our Pump Talk celebrity. She's been, part of the Sustainability Summit last month, and, just I guess one of our go-tos as far as industry experts. But Jen, I'll stop and I'll let you kind of introduce yourself and tell your story of what you do.
Great. Well, hi, Charli. Happy to be here with you. This is super fun, and thank you for that introduction. So I'm Jen Muir. I'm the president of JKMuir, and we are an environmental engineering firm, and we're focused on the water energy nexus. And really, that's just a fancy way of saying that we do energy projects in the water wastewater sector. But we're really focused on things like efficiency, renewable energy projects, but particularly in industrial settings like drinking water and wastewater utilities. So this sort of combination of energy, sustainability, and public infrastructure. So I was originally a water wastewater design engineer, worked for some of the big national firms, really enjoyed doing that work, and got very interested in the energy aspect of things. And so in 2008, I decided that I could do that best by starting my own company and focusing just on that particular aspect of the business. And as I like to joke, I would say, hey, when people get tired of talking about pump system efficiency or sustainability in the water sector, then, hopefully someone will give me a job. But what I've really learned over the past 13 years or so is that exactly the opposite is true, is that the industry is just 100% moving in that direction and is interested in pursuing sustainability, energy, efficiency, renewables. And we're just seeing tremendous growth in that area. So that's kind of what keeps us busy and what gets us out of bed in the morning. And we're working on some interesting projects in that sector. And again, happy to be here this morning.
Yeah, and I do want to get into those projects. But before we do that, I'm just really curious how you got into the industry as like an engineer. What made you want to be an engineer?
Yeah, I mean, I think lots of people, probably like a lot of people, you think like, well, I'm good with math and science and things like that. And so I was like, well, I'm going to study biology. And then I made a really important discovery is that I'm very terrible at lab work.
I think I am too. I know I am. I think I skipped class that day. I was like, no way I'm in that.
So I kind of have these like really distinct memories of using the pipetter for anybody out there in the biology lab, and realizing that that wasn't for me. And so, like many of our paths, those of us who have explored different paths can appreciate that finding out what you're not good at is a really important part of getting to where you're going. So I realized that what I was really interested in was applied science. And I was lucky enough to have like kind of an industry expert teach a wastewater treatment class in college. And I mean, I think it's a little bit humorous to think, but you could take a class about wastewater treatment and think that's what I want to do. But that was really what piqued my interest. One of the reasons that I spend so much time on pumps in particular is I feel like a lot of the work we do, which is going out into the field, getting some real-time data, I really like the realness of it. So not just looking at some theoretical or designs from a book, but what's actually happening, and being able to help people figure out, how do we do this better? How do we improve the performance? How do we create more efficiency? How do we operate this better? It, for me, feels like one of the most real and relevant things I could do.
Absolutely. And, I've said on here before, I love a plant tour, and I know you do too. I get to see you every now and then through your posts of being in the plant, seeing the pumps working, listening to them, right? The heartbeat of the system, if you will, or the heart of the system, and then, figuring it out. And so I love watching that, and I love kind of from afar. But can you tell us a little bit more about kind of what is a project like in the wastewater industry?
I think one of the things that I've learned is that the project, so we go out there and we are expecting to look at mechanical equipment, and that's really what we're doing. But so much of the job that we're doing, especially because we're focused on things like sustainability, energy utilization, energy management, is actually about people and about how people are engaging, what their understanding of the system is, how they're able to integrate into like the controls that are out there. And so one of the biggest obstacles we have when we think about energy efficiency is not that something's necessarily wrong with the equipment, but we ask questions about the controls. How does this operate? What are the set points? What is the parameter that controls this system? And what we hear a lot of times is, I don't know, or it never worked, or that's how Jim does it. And so really part of this is about working really closely with management staff, operations staff, electricians, maintenance personnel, and figuring out what's going on right now and how can we provide you with information, controls, data. I like to call it stranded data, the stuff that's out there that we're not really collecting, that's not being fed to like an operations personnel. So it's really interesting to me that, we're out in the field and we've got our boots on and our hard hats and we've got our portable instrumentation, and we are doing a lot with the equipment, and it's interesting, and every project is different. But it's been very interesting to me how engaged with people we are, even though we kind of talk about it in the sense of testing pumps and mechanical equipment.
Yeah, because the people are part of that asset, and kind of, you're looking at all your different assets, you have to include people. And one of the things that I've learned just from being part of this maintenance community, it's a Slack channel where all these professionals get together and chat, is, a lot of the times they know how to improve a system as well, but they can't get approval for some things. And so that's also a challenge when we know, okay, we can make this system more efficient, but you got to put some things in place. And so I know you help a lot also in kind of getting grants for people and kind of the process for that. Tell us a little bit about that part of the process.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of financial support. I mean, there's technical support and financial support. And at first that existed on kind of a local level with state and local electric utility incentives and grants to support energy efficiency and renewable energy. And now we even see it going on a national level with a focus on the water wastewater industry, actually. So even the US Department of Energy has engaged in a pilot program for looking at energy projects at wastewater facilities. So we see it going on, like I'll say locally, nationally, and globally even, this effort to bring energy and sustainability to the water wastewater sector. But the most important things are that grants are available, low interest loans, and they're there to support. I think we really have traditionally thought about rebate programs. Lots of people are familiar with rebate programs. Like even if you do something in your home, you might be eligible. And these programs have really expanded beyond lighting and HVAC, and we see eligibility for some of the mechanical, process, and industrial systems that we're working in. And so it's one of the most powerful things that folks can do is to really knock on the door of the local utility or be engaged with some of the, state or regionally based programs. So I am I think there's also a sense that like, is this money going to dry up? Like, how long will this last? And instead, what we see is the budgets for those programs continuing to expand their reach. So I'm a little bit biased because we spend a lot of time on pumps, but I think pumps is really the next frontier in terms of energy efficiency. And that's the direction we're edging, right? We've done a lot with lighting. We've done a lot with HVAC. We're starting to get into process controls. But what about really mining savings deeply out of pumping systems? And this financial support is starting to move in that direction also. So I am always keeping my eye open for these programs, and I'm always really impressed with the budgets that are available. The other thing I like to tell people is that two things. Number one is it feels like you won the lottery when you get your check in the mail from, hey, you did this project or you installed this energy conservation measure. But it's important to note that the funding for these programs is coming out of consumers or industrial facilities, electric bills very often. There's a little rider in there and you're paying into it every month. And so we often want to reinforce to folks, hey, go get your money back because you are actually supporting these programs, even if you don't realize it. And then we also like to let people know that most of the administrators of these programs are actively looking for projects. They want to connect with you. They want to get out to your facility. They want to help you. Their job is to administer these funds. And so it's a mutually beneficial relationship to start to chat with these folks and engage with these programs. So I have found like the most helpful group of people who are administering these programs throughout the country and who are super passionate about getting energy and sustainability implemented into like public infrastructure type of projects.
See, that's awesome because like you said, it is their job and, they're going to be passionate. I mean, people in sustainability are passionate about moving the needle, right? And so it's so exciting that you kind of have that network already in place that you can go to, ask questions, and really talk to them maybe about a customer if you needed to. That's exciting. Okay, so you started this company. We talked a little bit about it. You should say 2008. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. And it's a women business enterprise, which you had to do a little bit of paperwork to get that approved as a women business owned business. And then, what does that give you as far as incentives, or is there anything for the people out there who are women business owners who maybe haven't done this? What benefits did it give you?
Yeah, so it's been some really important benefits, actually. I mean, the intent of the certifications is really to promote and help small businesses of all types. So there's lots of different types of designations you can get as a small business. But there are set aside programs whereby large, particularly public infrastructure projects, have some set aside for women or minority businesses, as well as things like veteran owned businesses and other types of designations. And so it really has helped us engage with larger firms, number one. So it allows us to be competitive, or could I say, have a seat at the table, I want to say. Which has been really powerful in growing a small business, especially one where we're providing a very unique and sort of narrow set of services, really focused again on energy, sustainability, And so we're often providing a piece of the pie, whereas a more national level firm can provide a broad scope of services. And so it really allows us to participate in some really interesting and high level projects. So case in point might be some of our work with the New York City Department of Environmental Protection. So again, this is a sought after client. Lots of national level firms want to work with them because of the size and the scope. And of course, the excitement of just working with New York City, which tends to be on the forefront, particularly on things like energy and sustainability. And so we've had the opportunity, because of our WBE or woman-owned designation, to have a piece of those projects and to participate. And so that's been awesome. The other thing I'll say is that there are national level organizations focused on women businesses. And it's an awesome network to be a part of and to just be able to chat with other small business owners, get their perspective, realize you're not alone, and learn from them. And
yes,
so I've gained a lot.
Best.
Yeah, not just of like business opportunities, which of course are huge in keeping us going and keeping us all well employed and getting us engaged in interesting projects. But that networking opportunity has been really, really helpful for me over the years, as I've, could just continue to grow the business and learn more and more. And we've kind of shaped who we are and what we want to do.
Yeah. And, you talk about that community, and it's so important. And, Jen really helped me as a woman in our industry, in the pump industry. I remember talking to her for the first time and being like, oh, thank God, like she gets it. She gets pumps. She understands what we're trying to do. And she's a woman that runs her business. And so I can ask her questions about that too. When Jen was also asking me questions. So it was like a win-win for both of us when we got to know each other. But about that community and really building something for women to talk to each other. I think it's important that you have people of like minds, right? That you can ask questions. And, I'm always energized by the work that you're doing on the sustainability side, because it includes people. It includes, the new technologies and how all this, works together with the things that we already have in place. And I think that's unique and really something that you need to pull those people together. And so I'm excited that you're a resource for people too. I do have kind of in that realm of kind of helping women in STEM, or just people in STEM. I was wondering if, you have 2 children. I was wondering if they are already starting to show like interest in STEM just because of you and being around that. Have you seen anything that's like kind of a telltale there?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like, I think like many of us, you don't want to push your kids too hard in any direction. Like, you want them to be these independent people with their own thoughts and their own passions. But being in the business, of course, I tend to point out the type of infrastructure that we are working on. And it's kind of, I think, interesting because especially drinking water and wastewater tends to be a little bit sight unseen, right? Much of it's buried in the ground, and people don't think about it, right? The water just arrives, and the wastewater just goes away for most people. But every once in a while, you're kind of driving down the highway or driving down the road, and you're like, oh, there's a pump station, or there's a wastewater plant. And so we're driving down the road the other day, and my son's in the backseat, and he says, pump station. And so, you feel a sense of pride, those in those moments. But I think ultimately, like, you want them. My daughter right now says she wants to be a writer, and I'm fully supportive of that. I mean, hopefully it's a, technical writer, but
exactly.
But,
that's awesome.
So it's like, I think that you do impact your kids even when you're trying to allow them to be super independent. But yeah,
all my kids have had their picture made with something, right? Some type of valve on the side of the road, or seeing the donkey pumps. I'm like, explaining what that is, and I think that is just because I didn't know it. I didn't know it at a young age. I didn't know it when I was looking at careers. Engineering never came up. Manufacturing never came up. So I definitely point those things out just to broaden their minds, for one, and to understand the importance of what mommy does for work. Carly will be saying things like, why do you have to work all the time? Well, it's really great when she can understand that, the work that we do helps her get drinking water, and so that's absolutely, I guess, the way that we look at it around here. Okay. So just as we've been talking, I know we've touched on a lot of things, but is there anything else kind of that you thought about as we were talking before we get into our rapid fire questions that you want to touch on or leave our audience with?
I think one of the things that's kind of on my mind, I don't know if it's this week or this month or what, but is I have been thinking a lot about how much we, I was kind of joking before about, I wasn't sure how interested people would be in pump system efficiency when I started getting into that aspect of the business, and how much the industrial sector, and I'll say the public infrastructure sector, is really starting to understand the responsibility level they have for things like climate change and their impact on sustainability, and the ability of these facilities to do their projects in a way with let's say, energy conscious type of design approach. And it's just interesting, the level of accountability that we see in the sector is continuing to increase, right? People feel that personal level of responsibility, and that the way I execute this project, especially since the equipment that we're installing tends to stick around for a long time, right? We're kind of in this for the long haul when we talk about pumps, drinking water, wastewater systems. And so that the impact is very lasting. And so we're kind of lucky enough that we get to be sort of as engineers, we're sort of on the accounting side of that, the quantification of that. But I just see, as opposed to how I felt, back when I started, where I thought, well, maybe this little bubble will burst or people won't be as engaged in a period of time. I feel the exact opposite. I think we're moving full steam ahead towards responsibility, accountability with regards to sustainability, and particularly with public infrastructure type of projects.
Yeah, and that's good news. I'm so excited to hear it. And, I think just as we focus at it as individuals, like you said, and then you move it into your company, you can see an impact. I mean, we see the little things already just in our company, and just the focus and what you talk about every day, it changes. And that's where this impact is made, when you can collectively think through these things and brainstorm of how to make things better. So I'm excited about that too. Okay. So fun time here, rapid fire. I know. So easy one first. What's your favorite book? I know. I said easy. I was like, she reads so many books, so this is going to be tough.
Well, I know the first thing that comes to mind is you and I were talking the other day, Charlie, and we were talking about We Can Do Hard Things. And so the Glennon Doyle's book Untamed was a recent one that was on my nightstand, I should say. So, yes. I'm always interested in seeing how other women view the world, and, their path to finding, their role, their passion, things like that. So that often is where I'm reading. Whereas I read plenty of technical articles, but it's nice to get the perspective elsewhere as well.
Absolutely. Okay. Favorite song?
Well, that's a hard one. Like lots of different types of music, but I will say, I was jokingly, I don't know if this is a serious answer or not, but people of my generation will appreciate this, because me and my best friends were joking around last night because Alanis Morissette is back on tour.
Yeah. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Excellent. Okay. Most, I guess, best advice that you've received?
I think lots of people like to offer you advice as a small business owner. But the best advice I got actually was the people who encouraged me to do it. Like, sometimes you need those people to push you out on the limb and right, and like take the plunge, jump off the diving board, go into the deep end. And so that was like probably some of the most important people to me, and advice that people gave me was really the people who reached out to give you the confidence. Absolutely. Right? It wasn't like a strategic thing. Here's how you should manage things or do things. But the ability to like believe in yourself and have that confidence to go after what you're really passionate about. And so that sense of like being brave,
Absolutely,
is really something that like, I think especially when I, work with young engineers, in my company or in the industry, I'm often encouraging them, like, I want to hear your voice, like to find your voice, which is like to not be afraid to speak up. Like you have good things to say. You're a smart person. Have your seat at the table, and be brave, be bold enough to, ask questions and be part of the conversation.
I love that so much. And I love that you encourage them to raise their hand too. And I've seen that so many times in your presentations. And so thank you, Jen. I can't ask you another question because that answer was so good. And so I'm going to leave us with that today. Jen, thanks for being here and, everything that you're doing for our industry.
Thanks, Charli. My pleasure, and always great to talk with you.
And we're back. Thanks, everyone, for listening to that interview. I know you got a lot out of it, just like we did, and that you all are going to go and add Jen on LinkedIn now because you learned so much from her and know and love her just like we do. And again, one more time, thanks, Charli, for doing all of these interviews and getting them all scheduled out before you were gone on your road to recovery.
And this brings us to the end of the show. So thank you so much for listening.
Do us a favor, rate, review the podcast wherever you're listening to it. If you're watching us on YouTube, leave a comment down on YouTube to help us know what you liked, what self-care practices you do, what you liked about the interview, any of that. We want to hear it all.
And you can always reach us through social at Empowering Pumps and using the hashtag Empowering Industry Podcast, or you can email us at podcast@empoweringpumps.com.
I got to find that login because I'm responsible for checking it. I know it's somewhere, but I will be checking that email. So send me an email and just tell me hi and that you're listening to the show. And then we'll be back every Monday with a new episode.
So until then, be empowering.
Woodrow! I love that face so much.